The Jacksonville Jaguars got guys that love the game. I'll tell you why that's a prerequisite to be a Jacksonville Jaguar today on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Morning, good people. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started, which is what we're about to do right here. At the end of the show, I'm going to give you an outlook, the outlook from the draft to the training camp activities. In the middle of the show, talent is obviously needed. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to start right here. Difference loving the game makes. There's a tremendous difference that loving the game makes when it comes to the NFL. And this is strictly from the outside looking in, but you hang around it long enough and you'll start to hear certain things and see certain things. I notice a trend with Jacksonville. They don't sit here and talk about a guy's talent more than they talk about the intangibles of that player. Any player that you've ever heard them discuss, they always talk about how they're yoked. They always talk about what they put into it, how much they love it. And then, they'll mention the obvious talent with the arm strength of the quarterback and all of those things, because that's important too. And you can't overstate or understate how important that is. Let's just get that out of the way. But something happened in this draft that gave me the feeling I need to come on here and try to make sense of all of this stuff a little bit, and that's what we're going to do. The Jaguars drafted a lot of what I have termed over the years. I think I made this term up. I had never heard it before, but maybe somebody else said it and I subconsciously heard it. But I was on the radio. I was doing a call into a radio show over 20 years ago to my man Frank Frangie, and I said, football playing Jesse's. He said, what is that? Explain who a football playing Jesse is. Football playing Jesse is just a dude that eats, sleeps, and drinks the ball, walks around throwing the ball up, carries a football with him everywhere he goes. When you saw him in school, he was always dressed like he was about to go to practice or about to leave practice. A lot of the times you saw the guys, I would see dudes, we had these little team clubs. You go to team clubs, dude still got his football stuff on. I mean, walking on the back of his shoes, got a little limp because he's been practicing and working out, might even had an H bandage wrapped around his knee. It's just dudes that just everything that they do, everything that they say, their entire gait, their walk, is about the game that they play. And normally those guys went on to be Division I players, or if not, they excelled at whatever it was that they did, even if it was in the military. So the thing is whatever they're doing right then is the most important thing. And then everything else kind of fits into that. It's not that they forget about other stuff. It's just that they lead with the fact that they are a football player. And everyone that the Jaguars seem to have traded for, drafted, or we've seen elevate through the ranks, and guys that stepped up in this one season, they all had that in common. Now, that doesn't mean that people who did not excel or folks that were cut or traded don't love football. That is not the point. And this isn't about disparaging anybody else. But there are some people that aren't here anymore that I look and I kind of question a little bit. Okay, it wasn't just talent. It was football really ain't the most important thing. And I think that that's a requirement when you play here. And it's not a personal thing, but when you think about it, go back to the very beginning when they got here and we kept hearing them talk. They're saying all of the stuff that sounds good, talking about organization, talking about structure, talking about all of these things. And then put it into the perspective that, okay, we know where we came from, where we didn't hear people talking like that, and where we didn't hear about the process, and we didn't hear about all of these I's being dotted and the T's being crossed. And they were very thin in their coaching staff, and they were very thin in their front office, and that was by design. It just seemed like to me, it just wasn't enough attention to detail. And if you think about it over the last few years, that's exactly why this football team would lose and would always appear to underachieve and to not really get better. They would win games, but then you'd always know that there was something missing, right? It wasn't a matter of talent, because 2 years before the 4-13 season happened, the Jaguars actually went 9-8 in 2 straight seasons. So I keep telling people this: the Jaguars, in the 3 of the last 4 years, they've had a winning record. And one of the more difficult things is when you have a 30-year history of inconsistency, is to take those entire 30 years and put them into the conversation. No, we're talking about the Jaguars right now, modern day, last couple of years. And the only reason I even mentioned 23 and 24 is because 25 is a point of comparison with how things operated a little bit differently. So here's what the Jaguars know. And we sometimes misunderstand this a little bit in the process of when they add players. And we'll talk about those players too in just a second, the guys that they drafted. But in the process of them adding players, we're looking at it maybe from a lens that they're not looking at it from. And then when these picks happen, we try to explain it through our lens as opposed to trying to imagine maybe what their perspective is. So that's why I'm here today, and I'm going to try to give it to you. When Liam Cohen and that crew talk about being ready, being there, being present, in the past when they've discussed players and when they say we needed guys to improve. Okay, remember Anton Harrison? Yeah, the Anton Harrison that we didn't know if he was going to make it last year because we were hearing that he needed to tighten up on some things. He needed to be there a little bit, be more punctual. He needed to make sure that he was attacking everything, which that word attack will come back up too, because they mentioned that a lot in the offseason. And then all of a sudden he got it. And then Liam came out and he told him, he said, I saw you on tape running down the field 30. Okay, now we're going to expect that all the time. And for the most part, that's exactly what happened. It got addictive to that kid. And now the results have led to him getting a 5th-year option picked up because they see that he's buying in. When I came on here and did a podcast, I say, don't think for 1 minute that those guys won't cut you. They're tougher than you think. And I know they don't talk that way. I didn't have any inside information, but here's what I did have. I was armed with the fact that I knew that they actually loved football. Not what they loved the process. They loved digging in. I told somebody, I said, in a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke, I said, remember the movie Revenge of the Nerds? Like the football nerds, the dude, and this is not the cat, because I'm one of them too. I said the dudes with the pins in their pocket, that all they do, they run the team now. The muscle doesn't run the team anymore. The football, the dudes that all they do, guys like us. And when I say us, I'm talking about people like y'all that is watching the show every day. All right. Well, some of y'all. Some people watching the show watch because they just like me and they want to see what's going on with the team. But there are folks that look, eat, sleep, and drink football. I mean, it's unreal, right? And you think about the process, and I know a bunch of people. I ain't going to mention their name right now. There are a whole bunch of guys that I go back and forth with. Some of them we're friends, some of them we're adversaries. But I don't doubt that they absolutely eat, sleep, and drink football, right? A whole bunch of people that watch Saturday football and that are all over this stuff, college recruiting, those people are football playing or football loving Jessies, right? Well, that's who's in charge of this team. And here's what I knew that they would not take. Or here's where I knew that the guys that fall into a certain category will be limited here in Jacksonville. You got to match that energy. They're not going to bring you in here or put you in a position by coming here if you're not that type of player. Because if you're not that type of player, you won't survive in this building, because they're going to constantly put football all over you, and they're going to make sure you maximize your time. And your time here is going to be the game, studying it, getting your body ready, doing every single thing you can at every single moment to make sure that you are in the best situation to help this team. Period, point blank, in a discussion. And if you're not yoked that way, it ain't nothing personal. It's just that you probably won't do good here, even if you're supremely talented. But you got to be yoked this way in order to be super, super successful. We'll talk about why that and talent is needed and the difference between folks thinking that these guys are overachievers just because, where they might not be the most talented, their superpower actually lies in the fact that they are absolutely committed to football 100%. We'll discuss that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show sponsored and brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill, well, it's still sitting and open. And when the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit with what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute it takes me to read this, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, as we keep moving along here on Locked On Jaguars, I'm going to tell you about the Everydayers Club, which is a link down in the description wherever you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast. If you tap on it, the whole world will open up to you, man. Just for a subscription fee of as little as $5 a month, you can get access to our Locked On branded merchandise, and you can have conversations with people on the Locked On Podcast Network, including me here on Locked On Jaguars, probably around training camp time. And you'll also get ad-free versions of our shows that go out to our audio partners. Make sure you tap into the Everydayers Club here, Locked On Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcast. And these allergies are still eating me up, so pardon me about my voice a little bit, but we are doing absolutely the best that we can. And see, it's about showing up. And see, that I do it because I love the game so much. I love talking to the people here on Locked On Jaguars so much that I got to show up whenever I possibly can. And that's the way that they want you to think if you're going to be a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars football team. It can come across as if it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I'm a talented, good player, and I like the game, even love the game. I just sometimes, man, I just need to get away from it and go do something else. And, I'm just balanced. And there's more than one way to get this done. You can be a dude like that and be an absolute champion, and ain't nothing wrong with it. However, football is a game of margins. And there's one margin I believe that this Jaguar organization or this leadership group here believe in more than anything else. And that is, you got to love it, man. And you got to play hard and prepare hard and do everything like you love it. We got to run you out of the building. We got to say, okay, that's enough. And maybe we don't say, okay, that's enough. Maybe we sit and talk football in each other's face until both of us start nodding off, like falling asleep. And then we say, okay, no, let's just take a nap, okay? And that's, I believe, is them saying this is who we are as an organization. And there are enough good players like that out there for us to build our team with just those guys, because we cook with high heat. And I used this example before. We cook with high heat. Man, you got to be ready to go when we put you in that fire. The Jaguars coaches and this staff, they ain't going to spend no time trying to motivate you. Shout out to the Jimmy Johnsons of the world that could see super, super talented players. Pat Riley's like that in the NBA. Super, super talented players that just need some refinement and need the proper motivation. Shout out to the people that are able to extract that out of folks. But like John Calipari said when he was at Kentucky, you coach them up. Hey, coach them, you better be ready. You don't come here unless you know you're one step from the league. And the way that you come here and the things that we do to make you play hard, you better be in shape and you better be a self-motivator and you better love this game, because I'm going to put so much pressure on you that it might break you. It might break you if you ain't with it. This is the way I believe it is here. The guys just don't have to posture. They don't have to do any of that stuff. The surety of the Jaguars and the thing that gives me the confidence in them is, one, their work ethic, their approach. And then the other thing, it feels like the management isn't just in it for themselves. It's like they're pouring into this team because they're in it for the players, the team, the franchise, and the city, right? And all of the fans. And of course, that's where they get their satisfaction. The fact that they get to come in and do this every day and pour all of this in and make this effort and try to bring all of this stuff together. That's their superpower, right? The superpower of the players has to be that you are a glutton for that information. All you want to do. Like, you got 53 dudes and then some practice squad guys that all they want to do is wake up and do football. And when their body breaks down, they're going to go coach somewhere or they're going to scout somewhere, because this is just how they're yoked. They have to think it. They have to see it. They have to be a part of the process, and they have to talk about it. And this is because they love the process. And when you have guys that love the process this way, it doesn't mean that you won't every now and then get beat by a team full of dudes that are very talented, that maybe don't display that love that way. But see, the Jaguars coaches and management, they don't coach those guys. They only coach the dudes that they put here. And the reason why I believe that they want you to be that way is because I think they're going to put so much on you. I believe if you break under them, or if you get here and all of a sudden you don't like it, and man, it's just too much, man. Y'all talking all of this stuff all the time about all of these different things. You know what, man? You know what? I love you, man. I like you, man. You're my dog, man. But you got to go play somewhere else. It ain't going to work here for you. The Jaguars are actually saving people from themselves by when they pass people up in the draft that aren't that way. They are. When you used to hear people talk about the Patriot way, this isn't the same as that. This isn't the same as anywhere else. But the one thing those dudes with the Patriot way, the quote unquote Patriot way, even the dudes that were getting in trouble that we know of now, they still love the game so much, man. They do. One dude, and I ain't gonna mention his name, but one dude was in trouble before he got locked up. He just went to the facility. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The thing is up there, you just got guys, man, that all they want to do for these next 10, 12 years of their life is play and prepare and try to improve and try to get better. The Jaguars draft picks personify that, each and every one of them. So it tells me that the Jaguars, not only did they try to go for toughness and physicality in the draft, but this was their second draft. If you look at their first draft, those guys are the exact same way. And the ones that were healthy, or the ones that remained healthy, absolutely made contributions, absolutely got into it, and were a part of a team that won. If this stuff didn't work, if they did all of this and they went from 4-13 and they just went to 6-11, I say, okay, at some point you got to get talent. But talent is obviously something that you need. There are two types of talent. One of them, well, more than two types, but the two that I want to talk about. Talent that works like an underachiever or an overachiever. You either work like you either depend on your talent and rest on it, or whatever talent you have, you squeeze everything out of it. You get lemonade out of a bag of onions, man. And I think I would go to battle with dudes that try to squeeze every little thing out of everything that they have, even if the talent is just a little bit less. It does not mean they are talentless. It just means that in and of itself is a talent, and it's one that the Jaguars need you to have, because that's what they're looking for when they watch tape. They pretty much said it. Tony Wiggins says, if you don't play hard, you can't play here. Not say it, but that's what is being sort of inferred by when you hear the comments about what he looks for in players. And then when you hear James Gladstone talk on the phone, on the vault, when he talks about, oh, he's cut from our cloth. This is what he is, huh? He's one of our guys, huh? He just goes out and gets it done. When that common denominator exists from top to bottom, from player one through the coaches, from player one down to player 50 some odd, whatever, You meaning your 53 and the guys that you may pull up and down from the practice squad. When that is in your entire organization, and your entire organization is always on go, not just on game days, but in their preparation, then you're always ready. And then the story that you tell with your play, whether you win or lose, will at least be the true version of the story, and not a whole bunch of woulda, coulda, shoulda, or a whole bunch of I don't know why. So a whole bunch, nope, we just weren't good enough. We got to be better. It just makes everything more clear. So don't mistake the fact that these guys are football playing Jessies and assume that that's just a little engine that could, like it's a team full of Rudies. That's not the case. I'm going to go through these draft picks, and I'm going to tell you something that a lot of the folks that sort of criticize the Jaguars draft, a lot of times they tell the truth, even if they don't realize they're doing it. I'll discuss that with you in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even, closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, $5. You can turn 5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. And you can check stats, trends, and matchups before your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. Whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, it adds another level of excitement to every game. It's really easy. It's an easy app to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. I know all those Magic fans want to fire Jamal Mosley. I think the GM in Orlando needs to just find some people that can actually shoot the basketball, and that might help him. Make sure you head to FanDuel.com to get started. It's FanDuel. Play your game. All right, Locked On Jaguars, man, I'm running it down here. I want to talk about our draft picks as it pertains to the theory that I have given y'all today, that the Jaguars, while they look for talented players, they probably have the talent of staying ready and being on go. They probably have that a little bit higher on their what we need to see from a prospect list than some people. There are some coaches that can just look at talent and say, give him to me, I'll fix him, I'll motivate him. I think I have a little bit of a theory. There's some people that just adopt to the Jaguar side of it a little bit more. Like, I don't have to get a dude and learn how to motivate him and teach him how to be in shape and love the game. If I got to teach him that, then he ain't right for us, because you only get so much time to work with players, and there's some things that you'll need to be dealing with. But there are other players that say, give me the talent and I can motivate him. You used to be able to motivate guys with money. You used to be able to motivate guys with playing time. Well, these days, with college guys getting paid, and I know there are a lot of people that think college guys have always gotten paid, and yeah, that is true. But for a lot of kids in certain demographics, it's always, if you need to get to the bag, it's like dangling a carrot. All right, I'll give you the bag if you play. So you get the bag, and then you're looking for a bigger bag when you get to the pros. There are a lot of guys getting drafted right now that were role players in college whose bags in college are bigger than their contracts because of their value as older players in college getting money and transferring from one school to the other. They just make more money in college than they do. There's some dude that's a second team a second team all conference linebacker right now, making way more money in college than he is on his first contract, because he's going to be a day 3 pick in the NFL draft. So there's more value for him to stay in school. So now you need something else to motivate some people. It's not all, just a very few that if the NFL contract doesn't do it and the second contract doesn't do it, then maybe they'll get competitive enough that they want to compete for championships, because when they're around their other rich friends and they don't have that ring, then you want to be motivated by that. How about if I told you could get a dude that before he ever gets paid is just the most motivated player ever, just because he wants to beat you because you're standing in front of him? And it doesn't have to have anything to do with external motivation. Do you realize how easy that is? How easy that is to motivate that person and to get that person to play the way you want them to play, and to play the way the team wants them to play, and that you match that energy because that's how you are. And this is the situation where we find these Jaguars draft picks. let me tell you something that happened the other day. And this will make you, if you pay attention to what folks say, this will absolutely tell you everything that you need to know. You got people saying, guys that use or even participate in the consensus board, they'll say the Jaguars took 2 players that weren't even on my list. I don't even have scouting reports from these guys, and actually look at that as some sort of demerit. Imagine that. So remember when I told you it depends on how you look at things? Now watch this. I automatically look at that as not, well, look, they do it for real and you don't. That's not what I would say to those people. What I would say to those people is this. So that means that they actually do more scouting than you. So that actually means that they're not stuck in their own little ways. The fact that they can draft people that some folks didn't even have scouting reports for tells me that they did more work than those people. So it's all about, when the information comes out, how are you going to look at it? Glass half full or glass half empty? I prefer to say, if they found people that the experts that are so angry at them for not using their list, if they found people that those people didn't even have scouting reports for, then to me that says they looked further. Does not mean that they think they're smarter than anybody else. It just means they did more work and they did more due diligence. Therefore, they get more of the benefit of the doubt for me than somebody who did not do that work. So let's go down some of these folks and look at some of the common denominators. Nate Boerkircher. I ain't going to even tell you you know what? I'm going to play with my man, Matt Williamson. Matt Williamson is on with me every Friday. He works for the Steelers radio network. I played this the other day for some people. Here's what Matt said. The Steelers tight end coach said to him, or said to a group of people that were covering the draft in Pittsburgh as he walked by when Nate Boerkircher got picked. All right, Matt, have a good
week. I know we got to fly. I got to tell you a super quick story that I think you'll like and the Locked On Jags people will like. The Steelers were not going to take a tight end where the Jags took
Boerkircher.
Boerkircher. But we're broadcasting, and right next to where the coaches come out, and the Steelers tight end coach comes walking right past us as that pick was announced on the TV, and he went, "Oh man, I like that A&M tight end. I don't know why all these people aren't on top of this guy. He can really play."
See,
it's totally unprovoked. You know
what? You know what? I'm going to finish my own sentence. See, that's a common characteristic going on around the league, that a lot of people are saying that they like that kid a whole bunch more. And when you get coaches talking about dudes like that, it ain't got nothing to do with 38 catches over his career. It's got something to do with who he is and what he is and how he's going to be used here. Regis, the defensive tackle. Some people say no, Albert Regis. I think Albert Regis is a situational football player that's going to give you pop. I don't care whether they line him up at 3 technique, nose tackle, side by side, 1 gap, 2 gap, in the 1 hole or 0 lined up straight up. He's going to give you juice. That's what the Jaguars need. And another self-starter, self-motivated player built like a tank. Emmanuel Pregnon, perseverance. Didn't even, big-time player, right? Big-time player, big-time school, moved around from USC to Oregon, played at Wyoming when he first started there, started at right guard, left guard, fits the mantra. Jalen Husky. Everyone I talk to says he's a dog. The first thing I notice about on his tape is the same thing that I said about Eric Murray and the same thing I said about Jordan Lewis. He plays with his feet on fire, and I love it. Wesley Williams is exactly what the Jaguars look for. Hard worker, does whatever you ask, does not sacrifice the run, is a weight room warrior, loves the game, loves the process. Tanner Koziel gets out and catches passes. To me, this is the Pete Mitchell of this draft pick. He ain't gonna never scare anybody as a blocker, and that part has to improve, obviously. But so the Jaguars really, really do value blocking, right? And that's not his strength, but he is a great pass catcher. So we're going to take that superpower, use it. We're going to tighten him up a little bit in the other areas and let him be a pass catching tight end. Josh Cameron, one of my favorite picks because he gives the Jaguars, he completes the basketball room. He's the power forward, if you will, of the wide receivers at 6'2", 220. Catches the ball. We always got to talk about the quarterback that these guys played with. I think he can fill the Tim Patrick role easily. CJ Williams was a dude that why not take a chance? He's caught a lot of passes, done a lot of things. 6'1", 205 pounds, come in, create some competition, play special teams if you can. Of all the picks, I think that's the one that's going to have the toughest time making the team, but at least they put him in position to come in and fight and be a good special teams player. And then there's Zach Durfee. Everyone's talking about Zach Durfee, but this is how you help your pass rush. You help your pass rush by getting guys that specialize in pass rush. He's had some injuries. Let's see if we can just make him a situational third down player. And then Parker Hughes at linebacker for Middle Tennessee State. 4.39, fast. Maybe he can play special teams. Let's see what he does in competition situations to try to get himself on the field. But it's the competition aspect, man. It raises the floor. It really, really injects a whole bunch of in the middle of this thing. It puts a whole bunch of energy in the room. That it's what it is you draft enough Parker Washingtons and get enough Parker Washingtons on your team. Guess what? It's going to cause the kind of friction and the kind of elevation that you need in your franchise. All right, today bonus show coming up, and then a squad show later on with me, O'Brien. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we have a way about ourselves. It doesn't have to be like anybody else. It's only about, it's their thing. It has to be about them. But they have been speaking to you through their actions, telling you exactly what it is they thought they lacked and what they're always going to value and what they're always going to look for. So don't let anybody tell you anything differently about this draft. Man, I'm stoked and I'm happy. I can't wait to see how this thing turns out for this particular group of players and this team this offseason. Make sure y'all tap into Locked On Jaguars. Thanks for making us your team every day.